Hi, this is Derek. I'm setting up a book on pre-order today, so I thought I'd quickly go through and show you what I'm doing behind the scenes before I submit it so that you can know how to set up a book on pre-order. So my situation's pretty weird because of the way that I publish. I actually had this book up, I had a sample of the book up a year ago, and it's been out for a while, but it was kind of just a teaser. It was perma-free for a long time. Oops. And I've actually just unpublished this, so this won't be available very soon. Because this was on permafree, I also had it on draft to digital, but I took it down a couple weeks ago from that because if I'm going to republish this and I'm going to put it in Kindle Unlimited, I need to be really careful that I don't have any extra copies of this anywhere else. That's not a decision you have to make though when you put up a book up on pre-order. You don't have to decide to go into Kindle Unlimited or not yet. This is basically just putting up a placeholder so that people can start ordering it. So first you just have basic information, book title, author name, contributors. You'd set up your author name and a description. I usually just add something quick in here. You can use HTML formatting to make it look better. Kindlepreneur has a nice Kindle formatting tool where you can get it to look the way that you want. What I usually also do is I'll just use WordPress. With WordPress you can switch between the text view and the visual view, so I could make it look the way I wanted in visual and use all the bold or italics or whatever, and then I could go to text view to get the code and paste that into Kindle. But also I don't really worry about this because later I'm going to claim the book on Amazon's Author Central, which gives you a little bit more control and is actually a little bit faster. When I want to make changes, I'll update it on Author Central and the changes will usually go through within the hour, whereas on KDP, it can take a day or two to update the description this way. You'll also want to pick keywords. So these aren't actually the search keywords. So when people are searching for things, these don't really make a huge difference. What these keywords do is help you to get put in certain categories. So for example, to get in certain categories, there's actually a list. If you search for Kindle categories and selecting browse categories, they give you a list of all the different categories and the keywords that you need to use to put into certain categories. So for example, categories with keyword requirements, if I click on that, it'll show me specific categories that I need to use certain keywords to get listed in those categories. These actually aren't all the categories though. There's a whole bunch of hidden categories that you really need to just browse Amazon and find the categories you want to be added to. That's also why I kind of ignore this section. I put some stuff in quick. This can make a difference, so you kind of want to play around with this after publishing and seeing if you can boost visibility. But generally, you get added to the categories that you want by requesting them. You'll show up in the top 3 categories that you're ranking well on, but you can actually show up in up to 10 categories altogether. So you can look through other books on Amazon that are similar to your book and see what categories they are listed in, and then you can just highlight kind of this whole thing and send a message to KDP help and say, please add my book to this category. And so you do that several times. You want to be in as many of the categories that are relevant as you can be. But like I said, that's kind of why I ignore that right here. This part also, categories is a little bit weird for juvenile fiction or young adult fiction because you generally have to choose juvenile fiction to be listed in the teen and young adult section. So to get into these teen and young adult, I have to choose juvenile. However, I also want to stay in this paranormal romance, which is not the teen and young adult. Like I said, you can be up to 10 categories, so I don't want to be limited to just teen and young adult because my book is more like upper young adult. Teen and young adult is 13 to 17, and my book's protagonist is probably 18 or 19. I've found that even with most teen young adult, a lot of it is a little bit older these days. The protagonists are usually 17 to 19, and there's a lot more dark adult themes. I'm also going to skip over this children's age or book range. This is both optional. You may want to play around with that stuff. I'm going to leave it open. And then down here, you can choose I'm ready to release my book now or make my book available for pre-order. So actually, this is just the normal Kindle setup. When I go to bookshelf and when I go to add a new title, I don't have to choose anything special to get into that pre-order area. But when I'm setting up my book, then I can choose I'm ready to release now or set my book up for pre-order. So quickly, I'm going to talk about when you should actually do this stuff. And it's kind of a weird balance because on the one hand, what I've learned from experience is you don't really want to set your book up for pre-order until you've finished a clean rough draft, because you don't know how long it's going to take to edit and finish and actually make it ready. So I've screwed up several times in the past. If you miss your pre-order deadline, then they'll take away your pre-order privileges for a year, and I just got my rights back after the second year of being kicked out of or losing my pre-order privileges. So what I tell people now is what you really should do is finish a clean rough draft, and not just the first time you finish a book. So the first time you finish a book, maybe you're really excited that you got to the end and you wrote the end, but you don't realize how much work and revisions actually going to go into it before it's ready to publish. Because I am a heavy plotter, I focus on the story architecture and the plotting first. So when I finish a clean rough draft, I really just have to do proofreading, which will take a couple weeks. I'm not going to do a major revision or rewrite or reorganize or change scenes around. So I also have published I don't know, 5 or 6 novels now, so I'm more familiar with my writing process. Even so, it's still difficult to predict exactly how long a book is going to take you. So what I'd recommend is having a clean rough draft that's been polished or edited, maybe not for your first book, but maybe once you've been putting some books out, and then giving yourself about a month. So I'm setting this to a month from now, which will give me enough time to finish some of the pre-marketing or advertising that I want to set up, also to finish and make sure that it's really edited and clean, formatted and ready to go. So I've set it to June 30th, which is a month from now, but it tells me I need to submit it by June 26th, and actually you want to do it a couple days earlier, because the other thing I've done several times in the past is I've waited till the very last minute. So it tells me like at 11:59. So I've uploaded my manuscript at like 11:54 or something, but then it didn't upload in time or it didn't confirm in time. And what happens is everybody that pre-ordered your book will be sent the file that you put up when you're setting up your pre-order. So the next screen is going to ask me to submit a file, and you have to actually upload something. So what I've done in the past is just upload a really crappy rough draft with notes to myself, or like an unfinished manuscript, and what will happen is readers will actually get that file delivered to their Kindle if you screw up your launch date. So what I do now is I'll put maybe a few sample chapters that are really clean, and then I'll put a note at the end saying, if you got this file, you got this by mistake, make sure that you contact me, and I'll send you the full manuscript. Just to let them know, because otherwise what happens is they get a crappy manuscript or they get a sample and then they'll freak out and leave a negative review. So it's safer to leave a note in whatever file you upload, just in case something happens. That generally doesn't happen. I mean, generally as long as you if you submit a new file a couple days before this, it should be fine. The other thing I'll mention really quickly though is that I haven't finished the clean rough draft of this book. And the reason I'm putting it up anyway is because I'm the type of person that procrastinates, so I really need a motivating factor. And this is a book that I've been working on for like 3 months that really should have been done months ago. I just haven't done it yet. There isn't any motivation or pressure. Like, I don't have to put it up because it just nobody, like, it doesn't really matter. My readers are waiting for it. My readers keep asking about it, but there's no penalty if I don't put it up. So I've gotten to within the last few chapters. And I know that I can finish it in a week or two if I'm really working hard. And I'm hoping that even though it's a little stressful to put this book up on pre-order right now, I know that I have 30 days to finish it and edit it. So that's going to make me get the work done. This is actually something I tried to do. You know, the reason I lost my pre-order privileges before is I was using pre-orders to motivate me to do the writing, and it worked really well. I was finishing a lot of books really quickly by putting them up on pre-order, because you have that stress factor. But I just couldn't, I kind of burnt out, and I just couldn't keep the rate of production up. So hopefully this one, it's a little scary putting it up on pre-order when I haven't actually finished the clean rough draft yet, but I'm also close enough to the end that I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get it finished in time. So here it asks for digital rights management. I'm going to put that to no. Yes doesn't really help anything, and all it really makes it makes it a little more difficult for people who have actually bought the book to access the book on different devices, which can piss them off. It's not really going to protect against piracy. That's kind of a different issue. So I always leave this to no. That's what most people will recommend if you do some research. You can upload a whole bunch of different files, but generally you want to format your book for Mobi by yourself. That's the Amazon format, and you basically have to convert to EPUB and then use the tool to change it into Mobi, because you can't really edit a Mobi file, but you can edit an EPUB file. I use publishexpress.com to transform my Word document into an EPUB file, and then I use Amazon's Kindle Preorder for desktop to translate into a Mobi file. You also want to use some files to just make sure that it looks okay. They'll actually give me the chance down here to launch a previewer. That doesn't really work very well. The KDP Kindle ebook previewer won't show all of the special features, so it's not going to look the way that it actually looks on devices. You need to download this preview on your computer or preview on Kindle device. So I download that Kindle Previewer application for desktop. That's going to give you a more reliable view of what the book's actually going to look like on devices. Also, the Amazon Look Inside feature, if you go up here and Look Inside, that previewer is also kind of broken. It doesn't look terrible, but it also doesn't look exactly the way that it's supposed to look or that it should look on real devices. You can, if you want to. It tells me there are 6 spelling errors, so that's something you probably want to check out and just see if they're right or wrong. They may be marking some things that are not actually mistakes. You can upload your cover, and then down here you can go to an ISBN, which is optional. Kindle ebooks are not required to have an ISBN. I don't use one for my ebooks. Then you can have a publisher, which is optional. You would generally want to set one. All this does is show on Amazon down here under publisher for the ebook or the Kindle ebook. It's just going to show something else. So if you don't put one, it's just going to say Kindle or Amazon, and this is an easy thing you can do to make it look a little bit more reputable. It's not a huge deal. Most people don't actually look at this stuff anyway, but because I've set up a brand around my fiction, I just use the brand and the website that I use for my fiction, and I put that there. So I'm going to save and continue this as well and go to pricing. Here it's actually giving me the option to enroll my book in KDP Select. I do recommend going in KDP Select for most books. There are considerations, so you want to do your research, but for my books, it works really well, and I recommend it for most first-time authors because it's easier to focus on one platform, and you'll generally get a better sales rank. So you get more visibility by getting into KDP Select, which just gives you a little bit more of an advantage. And it's more difficult to try to go wide and put your book up on lots of different websites and then try to, maintain all your reviews or your platforms across all these different websites. So for me, that's the decision I use. However, I'm not going to click this right now because the book isn't published yet. What I'm actually going to do, and there are different launch strategies you can use, but for example, if I want to give out ARC copies of my book and put the book up on BookFunnel or Insta-Freebie so that I can offer review copies to my email list before I publish, I don't want to get in trouble with KDP Select when I launch. So what I'll do is put this book up on Preorder and not enroll in KDP Select. I'll also put the ARC copy up on BookFunnel or Insta-Freebie and give it away to my list. But then after I publish, I'll take away the ARC copies and make sure they're not online, and then I'll go into KDP Select. The other thing that I might want to do, and this is kind of advanced, I may want to I probably won't for this particular book, but I could put this up on permafree in the beginning because permafree reviews will count as verified reviews. So up here you can see this was a sample book that I put up last year. It's been on permafree for a long time, but all the reviews I've gotten show up as verified purchase. And some of these reviews are negative because they say this is not a full book, this is just a preview basically. But I also have a lot of really positive reviews, so that's great because when I launch the book, I have all these really great reviews that I can put in the description. So I have some really nice keywords from these reviews, like Mockingjay meets Supernatural, post-apocalyptic spin. Anyway, so even though I don't have many of these reviews, I put this up earlier. It's like Hunger Games with a twist. I have a lot of really nice positioning statements and reviews that people have left me on this sample. So when I publish the full book, I already have a bunch of content and reviews that I can use in my description. And like I said, all of these show up as verified purchase, even though the book was permafree, so people aren't actually buying it. This also happens if you're in Kindle Unlimited and you launch with free days. So if I didn't already have a platform, I would go into Kindle Unlimited. I would probably still try to build an email list of potential readers so that I could set the book for free using my 5 free days. When you go into Kindle Select or Kindle Unlimited, you'll be allowed to give your book away for free for 5 days. So I would launch hard with a free campaign and get a whole bunch of downloads and try to get some reviews from that, because those reviews will show, or they should show, as verified purchase reviews. The downside is, if you don't do it this way, if you put the books up on InstaFreebie or BookFunnel and then get your list to download outside of Amazon, and then they go on Amazon and try to post ARC reviews, Amazon's been picky about that recently. So I could still go in here and go to write a customer review, but because I didn't buy the book from Amazon, it would tell me, it would show as an unverified review, and actually Amazon may not even allow to post. I think I've lost. So here it says, we are unable to accept your review. Amazon's getting really picky. They've told me, because I'm an author, I'm not allowed to review any books on Amazon, because they don't believe authors can leave unbiased reviews. So that's too bad, because I read a lot of books and I like to review books if I enjoy them and I want to recommend them to my audience. But a lot of other people who are reviewers, maybe they're not authors, but they review a lot of other books. If they have any kind of relationship with the author, if they're on an email list, or if they follow you on social media, Amazon may block their reviews. So that's something that's kind of tricky, because if you want to get a bunch of reviews when you launch, you kind of want them to download the book through the Amazon platform. So anyway, that's something to consider. There's a lot of ways around it, or different ways to do it, but that's something else you can research. I have other videos on that stuff as well. My point is that I'm not going to enroll in KDP Select right now, but I will do it pretty soon after I actually launch the book. So then we can go into royalties and pricing. I've put this at $2.99 and 70%. If you go at 99 cents, which a lot of people will do on pre-order, you kind of want to drive sales. So the one thing I could do is put this up at 99 cents and say, you can pre-order this book for 99 cents. When the book actually launches, it's going to go up to the full price of $2.99 or $3.99, so that you can try to get more sales because of the discount. I'm not going to do it that way, because what I will actually do is set it up this way first at $2.99, or even, I mean, I really should do $3.99 or $4.99, but I'm a little cautious about my readers being price sensitive, even though I have fans who I know would buy it at a higher price point. And if I was just first time publishing, or if I was still building my platform, I would probably want to launch at 99 cents, and then I would do a free campaign, just because I want to reach as many people as possible. But and I would probably do that for most first books in a series as well. So for a sequel, or another book in a series, you have to do less of those price discounts type of things, because you'll have people who are eager to read the book. What I want to do with this one, because I already have a platform, is I'd like to price this one higher. I may even decide to put this up at $3.99, but the basic idea would be, I can keep telling my list, okay, it's available for pre-order, you can order it, or you can sign up to my street team or my private Facebook group, and there will be a limited number of ARC copies available. And I may do something like a contest where they can win the ARC, like rather than just giving out 100 ARC copies, I would do some kind of a giveaway contest where they have to like or share, or do something to kind of earn those giveaway challenges. That's also something that's kind of advanced that I may play around with. But the basic strategy is, I don't want to just set the pre-order price at 99 cents, because then when I launch it, if I do a 99 cent discount campaign, it won't really be a discount, because it was already 99 cents. So there's all these websites where I could list a promotion, and if I launched it, if I do the pre-order pricing at 99 cents and then I try to do a promotion at 99 cents, it's not actually a discount. So some of those sites won't list me, especially BookBub. BookBub is kind of the biggest promotion site. It'd be great to get a BookBub deal, but they will look at your history. So if I launch at 99 cents, then there's no discount. And even if I go to like free later, that's not a big enough discount for BookBub to really be impressed. So what I could do is set this up much higher, at like $5.99 on pre-order, and launch it higher, hoping to get that BookBub, because it's more of a discount if I do a free campaign or 99 cent campaign. I'm not going to do that, because it's getting really hard to get a BookBub deal anyway, and I actually want to sell a lot of these on pre-order, because I want it to have a really nice launch. So I'm going to set it to $2.99, and I'm going to try to get at least a few hundred pre-order sales and possibly more. We'll see how I do. I mean, like I said, I'm still invested in writing the last couple chapters before I really focus on advertising and promotion. But if I had a little bit more courage, I would set a goal for myself of 1,000 pre-orders. I've gotten 1,500 pre-orders on a book before. I could probably do it if I work and I really push it. But I don't want to like be out there talking about my book or promoting my book or focusing on the promotion until I've actually gotten it done and edited and finished. So I'll probably give myself a couple weeks, and then I'll reassess what I'm actually going to do during the launch campaign. I'll also check this matchbook. This doesn't really mean very much, but basically if they buy the print book, then they get the ebook for free. So that's not a big deal, but it's kind of nice. And then pre-order terms. So I need to agree to these terms and submit to pre-order. So now it says congratulations. It says it may take up to 72 hours to be listed, and then it tries to urge me to get started with my paperback. This is the KDP print on demand publishing arm of Amazon. I still use CreateSpace for most of my books. CreateSpace is a little easier to set up. KDP Print has an automatic auto vetter feature, which I think is a little more strict, and it's impossible to skip over. With CreateSpace, you can set up your files and skip the automatic previewer and submit your files anyway, but with KDP you can't. And the few times that I've tried setting up on KDP, Amazon says they're going to make a shift to KDP eventually and get rid of CreateSpace. But in the meantime, I tried a few times. I gave up just because it was more of a pain in the ass to use KDP Print. Maybe they've improved it. I'm actually going to hire a formatter for this book. I usually do my own formatting, but I want to do something fancier for this book, so I've hired more of an expert formatter, and maybe I'll leave it to her to deal with these files. I do my own covers also, so we could probably figure this out and get it set up on KDP. I'm not going to do that right now, though. So I hope this guide helped a little bit. This is kind of how you set up a book on pre-order with KDP. I may make other videos talking more about setting up your print files or designing your books or doing your formatting, things like that. I have lots of videos on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe or you follow me on YouTube if you want more publishing or book marketing guides. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.